We continue taking interviews worldwide and asking people all around the world about how they envision creative society. And we truly believe in building a society where every human in the world can live in health and happiness. And every single day, people from different countries realize the importance of this project, and they join to bring to life the nearest future. And let's talk about creative society with our dear guest and my co-host today, Olga. Could you please introduce our valued guest?
Thank you so much. Oh, you are so right, because in so many countries, people are now starting to realize and to understand that the future are in our hands, and we can do so many things together. And today we are having our guest, Soha Radwan from Egypt, from Cairo, and she is the founder of Seven Rays Holistic Center, and she will introduce herself as well. Soha, yeah, good afternoon.
So thank you very much for having me with you. I'm very happy to join you with all these great initiatives that Allatra is doing, and really all the awareness work and community work. It's very important. And it's very important that we're all coming together. You're doing a great job connecting people across the world, because really we are citizens of one humanity, one Mother Earth. And it's very important for us to share views, opinions, and know-how, and to create this different new Earth that we'd like to see.
Great, and we also had a very important conference just last month, 24th of July. The topic was global crisis. It already affects everyone. It's actually, this is the reason why we are now asking the opinions of people, because the conference produced a lot of resonance all over the world, and different specialists from different scientific fields, they keep discussing these key points that were mentioned during this event. And the first one is climate change, the real situation, what is happening now with the magnetic field and the internal core of the Earth. The second is introduction of artificial intelligence, and how we as a humanity are going through the the fourth industrial revolution. The next one, it's the problem is the crisis in human relations, because if you have crisis in humanity, it means we are having much more difficulties in overcoming different challenges. And also we discussed what we can do, everyone, each of us in different countries, to even to spread the information about that conference. And now we know that you are, that you started this center, here in Zamalek in Cairo, and based on your observations and life experience, what do you think, Soha, or you agree maybe with us, why and what exactly causes now this crisis in human relations, and what we can do in Egypt to overcome this crisis, and what is your opinion on this issue?
Okay, so that's a lot of things. Basically, being Egyptian, I think, I missed also introducing that I'm Egyptian, but I've lived across countries in the Middle East and abroad in Europe. So this is where also broad spectrum experience comes in, of seeing different societies and how they operate on different levels, whether they're natural settings or in city-based settings. But mostly I've lived in the city and escaped it and tried to go to do a sustainable development community in Dahab, South Sinai, here in Egypt, and where Sinai has a lot of mountains, there's a lot of good nature and transformative energy. So having been exposed to these different aspects of city-based living and of alternatives where people go. Also, Siwa in Egypt is a very nice destination that people are trying to create eco living in it. You can see the big crisis in humanity comes from the type of lifestyle, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance that people have. And one of the important aspects, as you just mentioned, at the end, I created this center, 7 Rays Holistic Health Center in the city, in addition to the other development and community initiatives that we are working on for sustainability and for creative society. But the need was to have a place where you can actually bring back some balance to human life, to the value of what human living is. Because cities have this, unfortunately, way of of course, in addition to all the environmental pollution and factors, but there is mental pollution. Mental health is being challenged very highly. And this imbalance that is created in people's ability to connect with each other, to understand what is important, to value life for what it is, to understand what's the value of my own life. If I'm not living in good health, and if I'm not living in harmonic relationships, and if it is all about stress, then how can a balanced society come about? So one of the main approaches I think is really important is going back to basics. And going back to basics would be going back to the self, to the human being, to the inner balance, to the idea of connecting with good energies, balanced energy in myself. And to achieve that, we have to work on bringing about this knowledge of how to do that, how to change the polluted or stressful, disease-oriented, because it's dis-ease, you become not at ease with yourself, lifestyles, into more of balanced and wellness, holistic, going back to the roots, to organic, to nature lifestyles. And that starts with everything. If we manage to have each person individually understand and see, and each human come to see how this affects them first before others in a good way, and then how this becomes a collective action for the community to transform in time. A lot of awareness is coming up now, and that's good, but still there is limited ability for people to implement it very well. And that's the role I think we should focus on, to have more campaigns, to have more information, more of these like conferences you do, gatherings, for people to come to a point to understand how vital this has become on both individual level. It's very important to know that it's good for me, it's a motivating factor, but also how this will affect their children and generations to come, and where the world is going to at the moment. So yes, I agree, it is a vital thing to work on at the moment.
Thank you so much. And, you mentioned so many times value of human life and how important it is. I agree with you fully. And that's actually the so creative and creative society project has these 8 foundations of creative society, where the value of the human life is put on the first place. It's the very first foundation, because if value of the human life is not respected, then we can go further. We can go to different fields and spheres of life, because if life of a human not valued, not mine, not my neighbors, not my friends, nobody's, then what is it all for, right? So I would like to ask our technical support to show the video about 8 foundations of creative society, for all of us have the view of review of these foundations. Thank you so much, technical support. And I would just like to mention that these 8 foundations were formed on the basis of different interviews, roundtables, social polls from people all over the world, like more than 180 countries. And these 8 foundations were formed into what they are right now. And you can read more about these foundations on the website allatraunites.com in the article about foundations and stages of building creative society. And could you tell us which foundation, after you reviewed all of them, also touched you the most, and which one you find also valuable for you?
Well, I can tell you, I find them all very impressive, really. It's a lot, I like the concept of how you summarize everything that's really, really important in these 8 foundations. I think it covers a lot of the aspects, the technology, the development, the different aspects of freedoms and of privacy. For me, one of the most important, the most important, in fact, the value of human life comes first because it is the value. But for me, the second most important would be definitely freedom. Human freedom is sacred. It is actually the very creation of the human being with free will, with the ability to have free will and choice, and to have a mind, and to have the ability to discern and make choices and decide between things. This ability was not given to a human being unless it is based on the basic principle that they have the freedom to use it. Once that freedom is taken away, then you are kind of dehumanizing the human being. If the human does not have the freedom to choose, it's not just about coercion, discrimination, restrictions, but I believe that you kind of, as if you see the image, as if you're removing a basic structure of the DNA of the person, of the human, and making them non-human anymore. Because it's by their very definition and the very value of being a human in the body, having this experience on Earth and getting together in communities and having a population on Earth, by definition, it's based on their freedom of choice, the freedom of being, the freedom to be able to live a good life, a life where you have the basic rights, you can eat and drink and be safe and have abundance and share and also perform, definitely. So freedom here, it's very important to understand that freedom comes with this mechanism. Human freedom comes with the mechanism, in fact, within it of responsibility. So by nature, you have the freedom of choice, and this is a God-given, universal, creative force given right to every being on Earth. And by nature, or by the mere definition of it, you also have the responsibility for the choices that you make. And practicing human freedom is a big philosophy. It is a right, as we just talked, but also it's a big philosophy that I feel, if we want to propose this further, that's also partly one of the concepts that can be very well, much more explained and more awareness brought to them. Because freedom had been, of course, throughout history of the world and of the wars and of the conflicts and everything, it's been a point of debate where actually it's like a basic important resource for humanity, that this free will and this freedom is always one of the reasons why people are fighting. So practicing it, protecting it, knowing the boundaries or limits to it, understanding the mechanisms by which human freedom are actually, practically used in daily life. So it's the freedom to eat what I want and to have a choice of healthy food. It's also the freedom to study what I want. It's the freedom to live in a place that's environmentally safe. So that's why I feel freedom comes above a lot of things. It covers already a lot of things, because if I have this freedom and it's respected, and communities, new communities that come about, put this as a basic principle that humans living here, it's not a social contract like now, like the states now, the state structure, the nation state structure, which is based on a government supplying people with services, and against these services there is payment. This is more of a patron-client relationship. But human freedom means I do have the freedom to own my land, to be on this land. And yes, there is a certain, I'm not a chaos just to clarify. I'm not a proponent of chaos theory. I'm very much with organized communities and human life, because we need to share together, but based on the principles of sharing economy, of abundance, of flow, not on the principle of contracts that I give you this, you give me that, and then I partly am giving you part of my freedom when you tell me, okay, so pay the taxes, and I don't know many information, or then you have to do this medical condition, and I don't know any information, but it becomes a limitation to my freedom. However, the new societies, the creative societies, allow for this to go together. You can allow for a flow, for collective action, for people coming together to organize their societies. But if there is still the respect for the values, like the 8 values that you have, and of this especially human freedom value, then we know that we cannot implement any rule or create anything, any mechanism of operating this community that minimizes or downsizes my ability to make free choice, and that there are no obligations or structures that will threaten me. So with freedom, you will also receive security and stability, which gives us a lot of growth and a lot of sustainable communities for the future.
I agree with you that these two foundations are coming together, freedom and security. For me also, I would say freedom is essential, because if you have your hands tied up and if you cannot actually do, what you would like, it's very difficult to think about something else, even about spiritual development. The only thing what I also would like to stress in the second foundation, it says like this: the exercise of your own freedom should not violate the freedom of others. Otherwise, you'll get to anarchy. So that's why it's also very important to understand. And we would like also to mention that before, through this year, we had several conferences, and one of these was Global Society Together We Can. It was conducted 6 months ago, and we also were discussing the most burning issues of today. And people agreed that creative society could be a solution for many countries, even for African countries, in terms of when these 8 foundations are implemented and people create a demand for a change. So people themselves are saying, this is what we want. We want safety, freedom, and this is exactly as you mentioned, it's our right. This is something that is fundamental and something that belongs to us by birth. And the one video from that conference I liked very much. It's showing to us about responsibility. So many people, unfortunately, are now sitting and just complaining that everything is bad and what can I do just to do by myself? So people even can share this information about creative society with the neighbors, at least. So I will just ask our technical support again if they can please show to us a small trailer where a person is searching for water in the desert. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And you could see right now on the screen, there was another conference, Creative Society, what the prophets dreamed of, which also got together many scientists and people from professional fields. And we revealed the truth about what really prophets dreamed of. Did they dream about the life we're living right now and the way we have relationships with each other right now, the way we deal with things? And this conference really awakened many people to look at themselves and their lives and their relationships and maybe review what can we change to make our life together better. And thank you so much to our technical support. And I would also like to go back to the conference we just recently had about global crisis we're facing, where also many scientists from various fields gave a comprehensive overview of the global crisis we are facing as humanity right now. And I'd like to ask to show video trailer about this conference and ask you a couple of questions about what you think on those issues.
Don't expect people to die in a flood in Germany. You expect it maybe in poor countries, but you don't expect it here. But it was all too fast, too quick. 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 But it was all too fast, too quick.
So this conference were very important issues raised about climate change, refugees, and like Olga already mentioned, artificial intelligence and technological revolution. And I would like to ask you, how important do you think to raise these issues, and what can you comment on climate change? Do you have any information, any maybe something you witnessed or your friends, or do you observe personally what's happening right now in the world?
Yeah, now you're bringing about a very important topic, definitely. I mean, we can all witness right now a very dramatic and drastic change in weather conditions around the world. And I had been involved for some time, a few years ago, actually, with environmental topics directly, but that was some time ago. But now I just follow the general knowledge, of course, and definitely we are witnessing, like, from all the activities we even do in nature, and we do like these meditations and these trips and tours for places, and we can easily spot and see how it is the weather changes, like at a specific time of year you go and there is drastic change. It's either too cold or too hot. There are waves of temperature drops and temperatures rising in different places. So weather manipulation and weather becoming something like really not very natural is something well noted. Second, natural disasters around the world, all these fires now in Europe, all these fires in the forests, and a lot of this is unfortunately unnatural. It's purely, it is of course mistakes we did towards the balance of the environment and nature and taking care of things, but also this is part of what we're going through. The world is going through a very big shift, which is both a shift into higher consciousness and a shift into, higher frequency and vibration. And as we said, more awareness of people who are practicing spirituality and energy and go back to the basics, and they understand the value of life and of freedom and of being connected from the heart, like you're talking, and like individuals like you and volunteers and experts around the world are doing. But there is also another shift happening. There is the second part, which is mainly now, unfortunately, still more people, like, the majority of humanity is still on the path to awaken, because I always like, and it's important to uphold, an optimistic timeline for everybody. But we have to also see the truth. And the truth is that a lot of people are still under a lot of illusions about life and how to live it, and about what is happening around them, around us. But if we realize that this shift that's happening to Earth is bringing on a lot of natural disasters that will actually threaten our very existence, and that means we also need to understand why this is happening. It is happening because of habits and how people are living, but also because we are going through a big, what do I call it? I don't know how to put it best in an, but we have to say what it is, like a war. Like, we had the history of wars. We had World War I, World War II. Now we are kind of in a war. It's a war within humanity, within it and itself, within, between humans themselves, between different forces, about which timeline Earth is going to go to. Is Earth going to become better, or Earth is going to be threatened and really fall into darkness and fall into a bad place? And that, of course, is the free will and the freedom of humans to shape it. So yes, natural disasters are an expectation. I am one of the proponents of holding, as I said, again, a good timeline that we're always hoping this will shift, it will change, it will not happen, it will not threaten us so much, and to do what it takes, as Olga said also a while ago, the responsibility with this freedom of being humans to take care and to guard our land and to make healthy and smart choices about why we should really take care of our way and of living, of our environment. And this environment is actually the ones that gives us this breath, yeah. So a lot of work on this topic needs to be done, yes.
Thank you so much. And just one more question to you. In the consumer format of society, many people think that they can't do anything. Just like you said, they're on their way to be awakened. And why do you think this is happening this way? And maybe it's not enough information in media, for example, because, it's more about consumerism right now, and many companies and people who have access to media, for example, they more care about people buying stuff and consuming things, and so production doesn't stop. And from your professional and personal experience, what is the role of every person in building a better society, a creative society?
Well, you just said it. I couldn't agree more with this, that it is communication. Communication, really. Communication, the throat chakra, the ability to talk and to present the truth and to have platforms, different platforms. So I feel there is a calling for information, knowledge, and to be communicated very well. I think for the last 20 years, a lot of people have been active doing this, but every day there is more and more and more. The mainstream media is definitely controlling things, censoring. I think new platforms are coming up, even, all these social media platforms we're using now, new platforms are coming up. It's growing. What I believe really is what used to be alternative is now going to become mainstream. So we are on that path. Transformation is happening, and that will create the fact that more people will be reached, and they are less resistant, or at least they know something is wrong, but they don't know what to do about it. And then there will be channels to reach them and to share the information together. And also, it is no longer one important factor that's changing really is that this hierarchy of bottom up. We have the authorities, and the authorities tell you something. This structure is crumbling in the world, but it is our choice, as we said, not to go into oligarchy and into chaos, but to go into more sustainable satellite communities that are able to communicate together. And it is about each individual becoming their own authority. So it comes with that responsibility. And if that happens, that will need a lot of communicating and sharing the knowledge and sharing that awareness, so that each person understands that, in fact, in the structure where no one is responsible for me, I am responsible to create it for myself and for others.
Thank you so much, Soha, for today's very meaningful and informative interview. I'm sure that
Thank you.
The first one and the last one, because we discovered we had many things in common, and it's really like awakening interview, like a wake-up call for humanity.
Wake up.
What you just mentioned, I'm from Russia, you are from another country, from Egypt.
Yep.
All of us can do so many things together to change the situation. Like even sharing this information, it's already a great step forward. Just people will be aware that another alternative way of doing things exists. So even to broaden up a little bit your horizons and to understand that you yourself, first of all, responsible for your life. So thank you so much for today, and thank you so much, Olga, my co-host, and Igor, the one who was with us in the technical support.
Thank you.
And let me just invite everyone to join Creative Society project, because it's very easy to do. You just go to Allatraunites.com website, you see it on the screen right now, and press on the big red button in the top right corner. That's the little short screen you see after that. And you pick the way you want to participate, and that's it. That's very easy. It's just to see how many of us already waken up. And before we finish, I want to ask our technical support and thank you so much for the interview. It was really enlightening and very inspiring. And before we go, I want to ask our technical support to put up a song which our volunteers who are in music, they wrote this song because they were so inspired. They are so inspired with the Creative Society project that they wrote this beautiful song about one Earth. Our world is one world for all of us. It's our home. It's our planet. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once the earth used to be blooming garden, but today we see we nearly killed it, but it's our common planet. Isn't it time to come back to parity? We are humanity. What is technology leading us to? Privatization in a consumer society will lead us to workless men on wild streets. What are we here for? Our planet can't cope anymore, and today we are at the edge, feeding the greediness which never ends. What are we here for? To destroy
come to the edge of the abyss. Because of our actions, the earth is in disease. And this is the result of dividing the planet. We burn it and kill it, but she's keeping it silent. The patience of Mother Earth is coming to the end. We need to stop it, we have to understand. Nature can't cope with this anger and greediness. That's all because of disunity and weakness. We have been divided by so many religions, enough surrounding us with borders and regions. For centuries we have been enslaved, but only in unity we all can be saved. Today we have to say stop, and from this let's get up. New era can filled with love and connection, freedom for all without disaffection.
We are humanity. What is technology leading us to? Robotization in a consumer society will lead us to workless men on wild streets. What are we here for? Our planet can't cope anymore. And today we are at the edge, feeding the greediness which never ends. What are we here for? To destroy or to create a better world? They've been separating us for a long time. It's time to stop and see humanity cry.
The only way for us to stay alive is a creative society. If our God is one, then why are we separated? Why are we all so frustrated? Didn't He tell through the prophets, be brothers? And didn't the last prophet say, Allah is one?
Didn't Jesus say, you the Lord are one? You created the sky, the earth, and everything on it.
وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم.